Good evening and welcome to the 66 brainstorming session. This week we are making giant city stomping monsters. This is a follow-up from our brainstorming session last week where we talked about mechas and what we wanted to play and how we'd make mechas and things like that. So mechas need to be able to fight something, so we're going to have big monster conversation tonight. Right, let's get started. I'm going to hand over to Pat to do the check-ins. Pat?
Microphone, Pat.
Yep, I know. Okay, hello. Right, so I'm going to go from left to right with my check-ins. That's left to right from me. So Chris Tregenza first. How are you?
I'm good. Big news today. We got, or this week, is the core books, the 66 core, the 66 modern, and the 100 monster bestiary. All those PDFs have now gone into RPG Now to be pre-pressed, and then hopefully after the weekend I'll be able to order proof copies. And there's a chance this time next week, just a chance this time next week, I will have proper copies of the books in my hand. So, yeah, it's getting exciting.
Okay, Emily, what have you been up to?
This week, been very tired. I've been doing some 10 o'clock shifts at work. We have 7 a.m. starts the next day, so that's been very fun. And I've been trying to get through my felting commissions. So here's a big ball of pink that's all ready and done. And drawing dinosaurs mainly.
Derposaurus.
Yes.
Jay, have you met any Derposaurs?
I've not met any Derposaurs. I have voted for your T-shirt on QWERTY though, which was yes, I do like that bit of artwork. What have I been up to this week? Finally got the method statements written that have been bugging me for ages, so they're out the way. Finalised some more tooling. And we're making good progress on Helene. So yeah, generally a good week for me. Sun's been out. It's amazing.
Apparently Jay is solar powered. Josh, your go. How have you been? Your go.
Okay, thank you. But with the increasing sunny weather, it's been very, very, very busy at work. I work in a warehouse that deals predominantly with bicycle accessories. So everyone's getting on their bike and wanting accessories and bits. Because one of the other sections decides to load into our lorry, we're loading still at quarter to 6 when we're meant to leave at 5:30. I've been leaving late from work quite often this week. So a few idea stews, but nothing significant apart from what we'll be updating with later.
Okay, and Mark, how have you been?
Okay, week of meetings and project management paperwork and boring things like that, so that's work really at the moment. And Helene's been progressing pretty well. We're writing up the Titans, we're doing the final edit of the Titans, so that's it's getting there bit by bit, probably a few more months, and we should finally be there, but looking forward to a good weekend away in Oxford this weekend, so all pretty good.
All right. So that was Mark, and Alex, how have you been?
I have been moving a long way and losing a fight with a sofa, so I have a bust lip, which you can't see on the camera.
No, but I'm sure it's there. I'm sure it's lovely.
Yeah. I managed to get a little bit of the monster thing done before I moved. I have a couple of notes, I think, looking at some of the existing monster paths. Anyway, just trying my hand, because I never actually built a monster before. I was just having a go at it.
Yeah, there's plenty of paths out there. And finally, Patrick, how was your week? My week was all right. Yeah, it was a lot slower than the previous couple of weeks I've had because I didn't get nearly as much overtime. So it's been a bit more laid back. Been able to do a bit more writing than I usually do. I actually wrote a comic that I've sent off to 2000 AD, or sending off to 2000 AD anyway. So hopefully good times. Anyway, that's check-ins.
Right, okay, thank you, Pat. Well, you might as well unmute your microphone and talk to us about big monsters.
Okay, so last week we discussed giant mecha fighting giant monsters, and this week we're focusing on the monsters. Hopefully, we're going to put together a monster this week. We had a bit of feedback from various social media, Twitter, Facebook, Google Plus. If people want to get involved in this, that's what they're there for. Please feel free to write in. Some I thought were quite interesting. There were a few which were kind of repeated a lot. Like a lot of people liked the idea of a monster that could actually have somewhere to hide. For example, someone actually they didn't put anything up online, but I spoke to them in person. They'd seen the stuff we put online. Said they liked the idea of a giant Sasquatch because a Sasquatch can hide anywhere. But the ones I kind of like out of the list of stuff we've got from Google Plus, we had there's no name there, a giant worm, like mutated by radiation, living in the Tokyo subway system that can move underground between subway stations, which is quite interesting. Colin Wernham, there we are. The name came back there. William Benjamin John Davis said a kraken. We've got a lot of stuff about mythological creatures here, hydras and Jormungand. Is that? That's I think that's a snake from Norse mythology. But I like the idea of a kraken because obviously it's sea based and everything comes out of the sea in those films, and lots of tentacles are kind of more. I don't know. Maybe I just like tentacles. Maybe I'm a bit weird. Okay, then we've got. No, not all right. There's a couple I found interesting, but I'm not sure how workable they are. For example, John Ewer said, I think that's how you pronounce that. If it's not, I'm sorry. A poltergeist, like a very powerful poltergeist that will possess some building and turn it into a giant monster. I'm not sure how workable that is, and I think because you need a massive proton accelerator to get that guy, and I don't think there's a trap on Earth that will catch him. And finally, we've got a mutated Tamagotchi, which kind of has the same idea of like an energy creature, but in this case, obviously electrical energy rather than spiritual energy. So yeah, I like those. What ideas do you guys have? Does anyone have anything that they want to speak about? Just give me a ping. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yes. Mark's just got some information about Facebook. So.
Yeah, we had a couple of ideas coming in. Alistair McWilliams, a guy I know from some of the live-action roleplay, he suggested a giant tree creature. So the backstory he had for this one was Ito Kazuya was a simple man, an accountant and a family man, but was framed for embezzling from his company when he lost everything. His wife died of a heart attack when he was sentenced, and his daughter was, and apparently the weird thing Google done is directed me back to Facebook to read the rest of the thing because it's not giving me all the text. Classic. So this guy dies in prison after being taken into care. When he's laid in his grave, an apple seed falls into the grave. The shoot that grows from it, the shoot that grows from the grave actually takes root in his bitter heart, and then the man actually re-erupts as a monstrous tree creature with his kind of broken body suspended in unlife at the very core of it. So a sort of man, very hateful man, built into a tree that stomps around Tokyo looking for revenge against the people who framed him. It was a little bit different. And Charlotte Boller had another idea for a giant fluffy unicorn having sprung from the imagination of a young lonely child, shoots rainbows at things but kicks the crap out of buildings, and punishes the world for being mean and not as cute as it. And she listed some weaknesses here: virgins, sugar lumps, and dealing with a poor lonely child. And Alice has pointed out this, the idea of the fluffy unicorns then fighting the monster. Part of fighting the monster is actually dealing with the child itself, which gives another dimension to that particular game. So a couple of good ideas there, possibly worth a little bit more further thought. I particularly like the tree one. I thought that was something we could do quite a lot with. That's the extent of what we had from Facebook.
Yeah, I like that tree one. It fits the kind of early, the like kaiju movie ethos of man versus nature, and nature kind of fighting back, which I quite like. So that one will probably go. That's probably going to go quite high on my list. So yeah, has anyone got any ideas they wanna shout out right now before we go on to greater detail? Alex?
Yeah, so the little one I sort of had together, just sort of, I don't know, maybe sort of classic kaiju stuff. So it's Crustaceacon, a colossal aggressive crustacean grown in the reactor of a nuclear power station, feeding on the radiation to grow to its massive size. If it has a vulnerable spot, striking it will cause a large amount of damage.
Okay.
So
Josh, I think you were next.
Going on the idea of something we were discussing a few meetings back about the giant chickens. I had an idea for a creature. There's a cross of cone snail and frog. It's codenamed Gigalisk currently until I can think of a much better name than that. But the idea behind it is it will screw with the players because it has the harpoon that the cone snail has. The idea is it fires it into or attaches it to the mecha, then stops bringing them forward, ready to swallow them whole, which could lead to players having to not do too much damage to the Gigalisk in case they harm their fellow pilots, if indeed there are multiple pilots in the system. It does seem a bit too broken to go against one person. If they get swallowed whole, there's going to be a bit of a problem there. I'm fully intending to path that soon. Well, yeah. That's the solid idea I got for it. It's very heavily armoured. It's like a cone snail. The front of the shell opens up, and then the mouth just comes out, just envelops the poor pilot and mecha.
That's I like that. You might want to check the path, like while we're doing, just quickly check the paths in Lovecraft, because some of the paths in there have like engulfing powers and swallowing powers because of the Shoggoths. Jay, you have something to say? A monster idea, nonetheless.
Yes, indeed I do, because I've headed my ping, so you know exactly what I'm going to say. Yeah, I came up with this almost directly after we finished the meeting last week and wrote it down then. So my idea is, I call it the Neko Terror Stomper, and essentially it's a bored 15-year-old girl with massive psychological problems finds a magical Neko onesie in a dumpster outside an old antique shop, but unfortunately it's possessed by a demon that feeds off anger. So it grows her to enormous size, and then suddenly she has all the power she needs to take out her 15-year-old's frustration on the world.
So you're saying a giant 15-year-old girl
in a giant cat in a Neko onesie. Yeah, I'm posting a link in the chat for those of you who have access to it to have a look at the kind of thing I'm thinking about. So yeah, it is faintly ridiculous. It's very much along the tongue-in-cheek kind of things, but you can quite easily sway from it into a discussion about psychology and the likes, about what actually makes someone evil. Path-wise, I went with City Life and Only Child, really to basically essentially represent her as the pilot. She's essentially a mecha pilot. It just happens that rather than having a massive giant robot suit around her, she's got a magical, demonically possessed onesie.
Okay.
So I then picked off demonic to give her represent that nasty bit, and then mammal, which is essentially her attacks are not ranged. It's just basically she's a giant cat suit, so she's got essential cat powers, so she can bounce around and charge and bite and claw at things.
Okay, so yeah, that's quite interesting. A giant 15-year-old cat girl. Emily, you've got a ping. What are you thinking?
Afraid this will only really come to me today, so I haven't got many thoughts on the rules. It was actually a giant, I think it's Janus, the god with two heads.
Yep.
And the image I had was just a giant humanoid monster with two halves. One half would concentrate on kind of magic-based power attacks, and the other half be physical. So it'd be more of a tactical thing of which half of the creature do you take out first, because the magic one is immune to physical, and the physical one is immune to magic attack. If you get my meaning.
Oh, I like that. That's quite clever. Yeah. What happens to one if the other one gets defeated, though?
But the other half continues going on, so then you're struggling then with whatever half. So do you take out the magic one first, or do you take out the physical one first?
It might have to be like physical and energy, because I don't think we discussed.
Oh no, yeah.
Hours.
That's the way my brain works. It's either magic or it's punchy.
Right. Just hit it with the boson dart. Chris, you've got a ping.
Yeah, I was just it occurred to me that I think all the monsters people have discussed, and they're all water or land based. And I was thinking what a flying monster would actually be quite useful, especially as the mechs probably can't fly. And my first thought was a sort of a giant dragonfly in, basically just a Mothra type thing. But I thought a dragonfly because it has those iridescent things, and which can be reflecting lasers. It can be laser armor effectively, and other sort of maybe even immune to radar because radar gets bounced off, absorbed by the coloured patterns of the dragonfly. So I was just thinking, not a very well formed idea, but something which flies, I think, might be interesting.
Yeah. I like a giant dragonfly. Does anyone have any other ideas before we move on to actual design? Because it's getting on for half past now. Anyone at all? Oh, ping. Mark, a monster made of money.
So this one just kind of occurred to me. The original Godzilla stuff, it's kind of the whole idea was meant to be, if I'm not wrong, the idea of the anxieties of nuclear weapons and nuclear technology and how that could damage the world. Kind of a more modern anxiety is money and capital and how that can destroy the world. So there was essentially it's a monster. It's actually formed out of it's like a collapse of the office blocks of the Tokyo Financial Center coming together and forming this weird giant office block monster that stomps around and literally eats money. So it tries to consume all worth and value and everything that it can find itself to keep propelling itself along. It's kind of just popped into my head. So it's a very good little expansion, but it's trying to feed off the idea of what we're anxious about.
A monster bit. I do like that. I think I'm gonna have to say my favourites were the Terror Stomp and the giant Janus. I liked quite a lot. The crab I like, but I can just do that on my own. I don't really need a lot of feedback for that. So I think if we're actually gonna do one here, I wouldn't mind if we worked on the tree creature. I kind of like that. I think that was quite a good idea. So yeah, what we'll do, if people, if we can think of how do we do this? Should we like pick a path, or what did we do last time?
Yeah, I think if everyone sort of had a look through the paths, I assume everyone's got the link to the monster book and have to scroll down. And start picking up paths they're interested in, and we'll just go around and everyone can suggest a path. Because I'm talking and I want to take the easy route, we do have I was saying we do have something tree. I'm sure we have something tree related. Oh no, I can't find it now. I don't know my own game. Oh, flora, that's it. I knew we had something. We have a flora path for things. So, if we're talking about trees, that's the one we would obviously start with. I think you've muted yourself again.
Flora, yeah? Oh. Yeah, okay. Emily, what's your path?
I was actually looking at Feminist, whether or not this wants to be a very poisonous plant-based monster.
Sorry, did you say feminist?
Venomous.
Venomous. That's yeah. No, I like that. Okay, venomous. Jay.
Sorry, was that me, Pat?
That was you. Yes, Jay.
Yeah. Okay. The backstory on this thing, it used to be a man who's turned out got quite nasty. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, you don't have to have entirely that element, but if you think of some way we can involve it, then just let me know.
Yeah, well, because I'm just like that, I've immediately flicked onto the generic modern set, because I quite like the idea of trying to exploit some of the guy's background. So yeah, trying to sit on here, kind of things that you would get from someone who is not necessarily going to care too much about other people, who is essentially decided to go for a more dark line. So I'm probably going to take Petty Criminal from modern generic.
Okay, Petty Criminal will certainly do. Josh, what path would you say stands out for you?
I'm going to go with huge, maybe. If it's a tree, then it's definitely going to have massive branches to which to smash their opponent. So possibly attacks that deal with doing a lot of crushing damage or a lot of brawn damage, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. And Mark, you also had a question about scale.
Yeah, it kind of ties into a bit also with Josh putting in the huge one. If the mecha are huge, do the monsters need to be huge as well? Because they're on the same scale as each other. Because all the ones we've got on there, all the different sizes, are relative to the size of a human being. If our players are 100 feet tall, then does things like small and large actually have a relevance anymore?
We actually discussed this last week. No, they don't need the Colossal Path as standard, Alex. Basically, it's expected that they're on that scale. So if you have the smaller or gargantuan kind of cards, it just means that they're slightly bigger or slightly smaller. They're on the scale. So, like, a troll or an ogre has, like, the gargantuan path, doesn't it, or something like that. So he's much bigger than a human by a couple of feet. It would scale up. So a monster with that path would be bigger than a standard monster, but would still be a giant monster. What path did you want to choose?
I was looking at Malevolent Spirit. So going back to the backstory there, so essentially the tree, and he's kind of possessing the tree as it goes along. So it's got says it's hatred and it seeks to do harm to the world around it. So that might give us a bit more to be going with.
And Alex, finally, what?
I was looking at some of the advantages to the construct path. Seemed to be useful for it. Things like artificial punch that's not limited by weak bones and muscles of living creatures and incapacitated. Stuff like that might be used from the construct path.
I'm having a bit of trouble hearing you, Alex. Can you boost your gain on your mic? Or?
No idea. I was saying, I think something from the construct path, I think, would be applicable to the tree monster.
That's cool. Well, in that case, I'm going to take. I think at the moment I'm more interested in its physical properties than its kind of background. So we're going to go with Flora, Huge, and Venomous. And if Chris and Emily, you could choose a path each from Flora, an advantage each from Flora. Jay and Josh, you could choose an advantage each from Huge, and Mark and Alex, you could choose one from Venomous. Is that okay with everyone, or? Yeah. And then we'll go around everyone for advantages. So I'll start with Chris, because.
Well, I mean, the obvious one, I think the one I like from the Flora is Bend in the Wind, which is an ability, and the description of that is the plant flexes and bends, absorbing impact without damage. So it's a real great general purpose armor type ability. So it starts building the monster's sort of defensive capability. So I think that'll be my first pick.
Okay. And Emily.
Thorns.
Thorns.
Yes, having stiff and sharp-pointed woody projections. Yeah, visually a lot of fun, and yeah, do a lot of damage.
Okay. Jay, you chosen one from Huge.
Yeah, thick skin. Given it's a tree, it's definitely going to have very tough and resistant dermis.
Thick skin, indeed. And Josh next.
I've picked Crushing Blow. An overwhelming impact. A successful attack does life damage, a point of potential damage, and knocks the target prone. Being a tree, if it gets all, or at least some of its massive branches to bear, it's just going to go wham onto the top of an unfortunate mech.
Makes sense. Mark, your choice.
From Venomous, yeah?
Yes, from Venomous.
I was liking the look of the reflex attack. Opportunity is always a good way to kind of build up what a creature can do. And so it makes a reflexing attack, or there's a target that kind of ends next to it. So there's a tree, kind of imagine, it was a little bit Whomping Willow, sort of extra vines and branches able to kind of whip around and get a very quick attack on something.
Okay. And finally, Alex.
From the Venomous Path, I figure I should probably have some venom, so Lingering Poison.
Lingering Poison. Okay. Right. Which of those are life cards? Just out of interest.
Actually, we might not have picked many life cards and stuff, so no, I think you've got plenty to choose from. I'm just looking.
Abilities there. I think it definitely needs a few more life cards. It needs to be able to stand up in a fight. So if we can, I'm going to say, does anyone like? We can use the ping system, or I can go around. Does anyone have any life cards that really immediately jump out to them from those advantages? Josh, you've pinged.
I just found Mass, which is a life card. Using your weight and mass to good effect.
That's from
It's going to be. Pardon?
That's from you, isn't it?
Yes. It's going to be big. This is a big tree, so a few times now.
Okay. Is thick skin a life card? Just out of interest.
Thick skin is a feat.
Does anyone else? Any life cards? Something else? Ping. Ah, here we are. Jay, you've got toughness.
Yeah, looking at the other ones on Huge, since Josh has picked off Mass, Mighty Brawn doesn't necessarily fit too well with the tree. While they are large and powerful, they're not known for large and they have a lot of presence. They're not necessarily known for their muscle strength. And also, that's a tree. They don't have senses in the way we'd understand. So I'm not anticipating a tree-based creature to have particularly good senses. So I think toughness is a good standard one to fall back on as a life card for a big monster.
Cool. Mark, life card.
Yeah, so looking from the Venomous set again, I was wondering about the Paralytic Venom. So, possibly poison venom to paralyze the population makes them more vulnerable to it. Or otherwise, for straight up attack on people, Stinger. Kind of sharp point in the branch.
Because that's more life cardy, isn't it? And Chris, you've chosen Poisonous.
Yes, I was looking for a life card because I think we had a poisonous ability, Lingering Poison, from one of the other paths, and of course, if you stack them up, they become a lot more effective. It did occur to me after I'd pinged that they're fighting mechas, which are giant robots, and I'm thinking, well, you know, we're going to have some mechanism to attack the pilot rather than the actual mecha. But what you could do is actually sort of tweak the card, just basically sort of rewrite the text and make them something like, vines entangling into the intake fans of mechas, and and attack their systems that way.
Okay. Alex has just let me know that Thorns is a life card. So we've currently got 4 life cards, and that comes to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 altogether plus paths, so 12 altogether. 4. Sorry, just give me a second. 12 equals, so that's 48-point monster. I think it needs a bit of butching up. So if everybody gives me, I'll go starting everything at 1d6 plus 4. If everybody gives me something they think should be at 1d6 plus 2, something that should be a bit more powerful, a more powerful ability, or another ability that you think it might need. Josh.
Once again, I'm going to vote for Crushing Blow because since I'm obsessed with the idea of a tree just smashing a mech down to the ground. While the mech isn't going to be particularly the tree isn't going to be particularly fast, it will definitely serve advantage in the battlefield to be able to just level the mech and have the mech get slow as well, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. Jay, you've pinged to help with Josh's smashing fetish.
Yes, exactly, directly that. Off huge, a new advantage, I think. Great reach.
Yeah, I'm happy with that. Is that a life card or an ability card?
It's an ability card. Gives the character a reach of 3, which makes sense given that trees are known for their quite significantly long branches.
Are you saying that's at +2 or?
That'd be a +2.
Okay, 1d6 plus 2, making that 7 points. Okay, so Chris, you've pinged huge.
Yes. One of the things, of course, you can spend points on your path cards, and it occurs to me that actually spending points on the huge path card means it can add, play that advantage in just about everything it does. We want to make the fact that it's huge core to what it does. So yeah, make the huge path card high points value.
I did not know that you could change the point values of path cards. I don't think that's come up before.
Yeah, it used to be that you couldn't. In the original card version of the game, you couldn't. They were always fixed. But in the new edition, you can. So yes, you can spend points on paths for exactly this reason.
Who haven't I had 1d6 plus 2 ratings off now? Had Chris, had Jay, and we've had Josh. So Alex?
Again, with it being so big, I think may as well put some more into mass. It's going to be quite a large monster. So an extra points into mass, using its weight and mass to good effect.
Mm-hmm. Mark?
Gonna go with reflex attack. Plenty of opportunity attacks make something pretty dangerous. I mean, it's measured that kind of hateful, spiteful nature that he needs to strike out everything that gets near him.
Sorry, which one was that?
A reflex attack.
Reflex attack, cool. I quite like what we've got shaping up here, because it's like it's not really aggressive so much as it's defending itself. I think I quite like that. So I'm just going to work out how much we've got all together now.
Sorry to interrupt, but we are sort of like coming towards time, so I think.
Yep. Okay.
So, do you want to round up?
Yeah. So we've got a fairly big monster, a nice monster here. It's quite big. It's very tough. A lot of reach, but not actually a lot of attack abilities. And I like the idea that this is something that takes root in the middle of Tokyo and starts, this paralytic venom, this parasitic poison that's kind of poisoning everybody around it, but isn't, it's not directly attacking anyone. It's almost kind of benign, except that it's, poisonous, and it's very tough, very strong. It's going to take a lot of taking down, and if you go near it, it's going to hit you, but it's not going to start seeking people out around the city. Make a nice distraction or a nice kind of central piece to an adventure. Okay, so that was the that's the monster we've created. What I'll do, I'll write that up a bit more fully, and I'll put it on the website, and I'll put a link to it so everyone can see it. Anyone watching it at home who wants to have a look at it, I'll put it up there. Just look for the same avenues: Facebook, Google+, anything like that. I think that we're going to Josh now because he's got an update on 66 Galaxy.
I do indeed. The Galaxy is now becoming very, very populated, and by very, very, we've got at least, I think, good 5 or so concepts for lesser races based on the meetings we had in the past on 66. I'm going to start with the 2 races I've been working on, and Alex, if I can nominate you to help with the 2 races you've been working on, the EOS and the Grish. That'd be fantastic. So I'll keep this short because I'm running out of time. So I cannot remember. Oh, sorry. If I pronounce this right, the Seedlings of Loam are what became of the Ugly race, if you remember that. They're a race of quadrupedal plants, essentially. They are ugly in the sense that they don't have any culture, and their face is basically a big picture plant. The idea is they are intelligent enough to communicate, and they have inherent knowledge of whatever chemical composition they are tasting, but they're not technologically advanced to be considered a major race. One race I've only recently come up with and still fleshing out are the Sledan, which are a race of essentially red shirts. They're a race of insect creatures that lost their planet, not due to civil war or anything, just it became unable to sustain life before technology could advance. So their entire race migrated, and are now essentially mercenaries for hire. They are the red shirts, the stormtroopers, the literal guns for hire of the galaxy. I'm going to help Alex help with the next race because he knows more than I do. So, Alex, help us with the Unity.
The Unity, or do you want me to do the ones from the meeting?
Well, it's just updated progress of what we've done.
Progress what we've done. Well, the ones from the meeting we took away. I know we decided to do the gas bag ones, so worked on that of the EOS, who are basically sort of large gas welders. So they've got 4 flexible arms, spin webs like spiders, which is how they actually build their sort of civilization in the clouds. And they will weave things, drop them down to crush depths to be solidified into other things, which is how they build their spaceships. Sort of crush, welding together. I also took what was Ben's suggestion of the sort of race that were held together by the high gravity of their world to make the Gish, sort of the jelly-like creatures, basically like more mobile land-based jellyfish that have developed gravity manipulation technology to keep themselves in their form when they leave their own planet. So the Unity is basically so we can have a couple of pure enemy races. So the Unity guys, race of robots, overthrew their creators. Kind of, people aren't sure whether it was a programming error, they were taken over by someone else, or what happened, but they're just a big race of robots that keep flying around the galaxy causing trouble. That's progress we've made on races from that meeting.
Okay. Is that your update?
Yes. We'll hopefully submit some notes to the 66 board to give you a better understanding of how they look, or how they are, better than we can. Well, I can describe them certainly.
Yeah, although if you want an update from the 7 Wonders of the Galaxy thing, a lot of the suggestions that came through, we actually ended up moving into the 12 Great Mysteries of the Galaxy, which are a lot more of the sort of natural formations and the strange cosmic and archaeological events. The Seven Wonders of the Galaxy, I think, is going to still be like the original Seven Wonders of the Ancient World, a guidebook of the best places to go in civilization.
Okay, that's good. It sounds like making great progress on the 66 Galaxy, and that some of those ideas from people out there in the meeting and stuff have really taken root. So we'll actually see the come out at the other end in the actual book. Okay, that's great. Let's quickly. We need to talk about next week. Anyone got things ready they need to brainstorm for their particular system? No, we're all making good progress then, aren't we? I think what would be a good idea to do, because it's something we haven't done yet in these brainstorming meetings, is we'll do some character generation stuff. I think I mean, Jay, you will need some characters for 66 chickens at some point. I think maybe as a practice session, we just create any modern characters just as a practice with no specific aim. I think what I'll do is I'll find some sort of group picture of likely characters and we'll base it down. So we'll find a photo of 5 or 6 people and we'll try and create characters based on that photo, just as an experiment to see how it goes, and and also a sort of like a warm up for when we do need chicken characters. Okay, right. I think that's about it. So, Pat, do you want to take us through the pluses and deltas?
I certainly do. Once again, I'll go from left to right, which means we'll start with you, Chris.
Shit. I think the what I would say is like definite plus is we had we nicely developed a monster concept, and my delta was that I keep forgetting that your order is different from the order I look at, so I don't expect to be first.
Emily, pluses and deltas.
Pluses, like Chris, good to actually focus on one monster and actually build it up. And it was nice seeing everyone's ideas. My delta was that we couldn't get a few more ideas from other sources, like Twitter. Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, I guess. Jay.
Yeah.
Pluses and deltas, please.
Okay. Pluses. Yeah, I like the monster ideas. I think they're good. I think it's going to be quite good fun. Should all be fine. I don't really have any deltas. I think it might be worthwhile. Well, we're getting good response on Facebook and G+. We want to be more engaging with the community in other places. So I think we need to have a discussion offline later about other places we can be advertising the think tank.
Yeah, I'd agree with you there, actually. I think that's probably quite important. Josh, pluses and deltas.
Tree Smash. I really like this monster. I really like this monster. I'm quite happy to see how quickly we managed to come up with a very, very deep, very quite engrossing monster concept. Deltas. I'm going to go with 2 things. One, what everyone else has been saying. Yeah, I got no responses whatsoever. I mean, I put it up twice and still nothing. And I also think my note-taking skills, I can't even speak English, never mind write it, still need a bit of work. But I will improve the more I do it.
Mark.
Pluses, it's good to see these meetings kind of working very well. We've got getting better practice at it. We're kind of running through a bit smoothly and getting the time to really chew the fat on a couple of ideas and really flesh some stuff out. So this is going really well. I like the format we've got and how well it's going. Deltas, going last on the deltas list, so there's nothing new to say other than what people have already said. Yeah, lack of engagement on some of the other social media is a bit of a pain. And Not really got much else to say, I'm afraid.
Alex.
Yeah, plus it's nice to be able to actually have some experience of building monsters. I haven't done any of that before. And it was good to be able to feed back stuff from a little while back on the 66 Galaxy. Deltas, I think because I'm not particularly familiar with building the monsters, it was, I think, a little hard for me to actually find the relevant stuff and suggestions for it. So that's something improved on easy enough.
Sounds good. My pluses are, yeah, Tree Guy. I really like Tree Guy. My delta would have to be I would have liked to have done a few more, explored a few more of these ideas, and maybe flesh them out a bit more. But maybe that's something for another time. Anyway, I think pass back to Chris for the sign off. He said, speaking in tongues.
Thank you, Pat. As smooth as ever. That was very good, everybody. Thank you, Pat. That was a good meeting, and we got some good ideas out of that. I think the question about social media, I think, is an interesting one. I think different things were better on different social media. I think with Twitter in particular, because it's so short, and some of what we're looking for is quite long ideas, it doesn't lend itself. So maybe we should try and target what we sort of do to suit a particular particular social media. You know, coming up with names for advantages or descriptions for advantages and paths would work really well on Twitter because they're all short. So maybe we can think about that for future meetings. And yeah, and it'll be great to create more of these meetings, in which case we need to sort of like think really hard about what time we start and how quickly we get going. So yeah, things we can talk about. So that's been great. Thank you, everybody. It's been a great meeting. Thank you, everyone on G+ and Facebook and elsewhere who provided us ideas. We're back next week, so 7 o'clock UK time on Friday. Until then, bye-bye.